Welcome to Kruk and Kuip Extra Innings postseason preview special. You can follow me at robiman@twitter.com. Tonight we are going to be talking about the 4 division series now that the wild card games have been settled. Last night the Yankees beat the Twins 8-4. They will play the Indians. And in the other and tonight, just recently, the D-backs beat the Rockies 11-8, and they will play the LA Dodgers in the first round. And in Giants news, not a lot of it yet, but they held their end of the season conference yesterday. It seems like they're going to go after some defense in the offseason. Didn't give too much hints on what they're going to go after, but I think it's looking like they're going to try to tread water and try to stay below the luxury tax threshold for next year and try to save money. So we shall see what happens with that. But I'll get more news as we go further into the off season. But now it's on to the postseason for the remaining 8 teams. We're going to start off with the ALDS. The first series up will be the Cleveland Indians against the New York Yankees. That's going to be a pretty good matchup there. Cleveland Indians have won 102 games this year. New York coming in as a wild card. Cleveland's got the better pitching, I think. New York has Luis Severino. I think they're going to go with Sonny Gray and then CC Sabathia. But they do have good bullpen depth, so that's going to be a plus for the Yankees. And they got Aaron Judge, who's going to help with the bats. You have Judge, you have Gary Sanchez, Greg Bird if he's 100%. So they're batting-wise, they're not too bad. Where Cleveland, they've got a deep rotation, the bullpen's superior and whatnot. And then, of course, you got Carlos Santana, who's a beast at the bat for Cleveland. Now, I think this matchup favors Cleveland. I think Cleveland will win this series in 4 games. All right, next up is the Boston Red Sox and the Houston Astros. That one is a decent series. You're going to have, for Boston, you're going to have Rick Porcello, who needs to be on top of his game. You're going to have, I think tomorrow they're going to start off with Drew Pomeranz. They're going to go Chris Sale in game 1. Game 2 will be Drew Pomeranz. Game 3 will be Rick Porcello. And we'll see if David Price is going to pitch in the rotation or if he's going to come out of the bullpen or not. Bullpen, that's going to be, I think that favors Boston right there. A lot of question marks trying to get to Ken Giles for the Astros, but starting pitching for the Astros, you're going to have Justin Verlander, Dallas Keuchel. Then you have Lance McCullers. Then you might have Charlie Morton in game 4 or Brad Peacock. We'll see who comes out of the pen. But what Houston has that Boston really doesn't have is firepower. They've got Josh Reddick, Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa, Evan Gattis, and Brian McCann, who's had a much better year over there in Houston. I think Houston's going to take this in 5 games. I think the lack of firepower for Boston is going to hurt, and the lack of starting pitching is going to set Boston back, but I think I will take Houston in 5 games. Now on to the NLDS. We'll start off with the Arizona Diamondbacks and the LA Dodgers. The Dodgers have won 104 games this year, so we shall see how they do in the playoffs. Pitching-wise, the big question mark is going to be, will Clayton Kershaw show up in the postseason this year or not? Darvish has not been the greatest. And Alex Wood's been up and down, so we shall see how that works out. And then Ryu will probably be the fourth starter or whatnot. But there's a lot of question marks with the pitching and the bullpen. But they've got firepower. They've got Corey Seager. We'll see if Jock Peterson can find his bat here, or Curtis Granderson can find his bat here down the stretch. Curtis Granderson's not been great since joining the Dodgers. You got Justin Turner. He's got to play well in the postseason. And then I'm drawing a brain freeze on that, so I'm not on that one. But a lot of question marks here, and the bullpen's been kind of shaky here in the last couple months. Whereas the Diamondbacks, I think that their pitching's a little better. You're going to probably have Patrick Corbin in Game 1. Maybe you go with Zach Greinke in Game 2, and then you go with Robbie Ray in Game 3, and then, or you might go T1 Walker in Game 2, and then go to Greinke in Game 3, and then go T1, and then you go maybe to Robbie Ray in Game 4. The rotation's good. The bullpen's okay. Bullpen showed vulnerability tonight for Arizona, but they've owned the Dodgers this year, so I am going to take the Diamondbacks in 5 games. And the last one up is the Cubs and the Nationals. That one I think is going to be a real good series. Chicago has bounced back here in the last few months of the season, but their starting pitching is definitely going to be a question mark, as the rotations definitely underperformed this year for Chicago. They need Jake Arrieta to find his game here in the postseason. Jose Quintana, how will he do in his first time in the postseason? Then you got John Lester. Lester's going to be they're going to have to rely on Lester, and maybe Kyle Hendricks hasn't had a clunker in a while. Bullpen, can they be trusted? They've been up and down this year. And the bats, who knows what's going to happen with that. Whereas Washington, they now have question marks. Can Scherzer pitch 100%? That's going to be a question mark there. But they do have the better pitching with Steven Strasburg, Gio Gonzalez having good years. So now the question lies, and you might have Tanner Roark starting, so we'll see what happens with that. But can they be trusted here? And they got, of course, Bryce Harper. You've got Jordan Zimmerman. This one's going to be a lot of firepower. Washington did a great job shoring up the bullpen before the deadline. I think that the bullpen's going to favor Washington here. Now, I think I am going to take Washington in 5 games. We shall see what happens when we get to the LCS. I'll be back on Sunday. We'll see where we are standing on Sunday. I'm going to be heading to Concord. I'll be live on location in Concord. Well, thanks for tuning in. If you did tune in for this quick special, be back on Sunday. Good night.